Well, it's a little bit different setting for the Indiana State Coaches Show from 7th and Elm Bar and Grill. We're actually not 7th and Elm this week due to the Sycamore Basketball Showcase in ISU Arena. So if you're actually out listening to the show, well, you can listen to the show and stop by ISU Arena to meet both basketball teams as the season about to get off and going. We have a really fun show for you tonight. Coach Mallory and Coach Desmond Morgan are going to join us from Indiana State Football. And we begin with the head coach of Indiana State Football, head coach Curt Mallory. Coach, good to see you. And I know just a really tough game over the weekend against Missouri State. We talked about it in your press conference earlier in the day. You look at that score, 37-7, and I know it may seem like a belaboring talking point, but it just didn't feel like that was a 37-7 game. But that is ultimately what it came out to in the end.
No, obviously disappointed in the loss. We had a 20-point swing, and which is unfortunate. You're down 3-0 going into the second, in the second quarter, get a first down and you change things over. But we were prepared. The team came out ready to go. But we've got to be able. If things aren't going well, we got to be able to tighten things up. And things got away from us, and we're down 24-0 going into the half. And then you have an injury happen with Ron Trez. The fact of the matter is that's more important than the game. And you have a young man who's one of our own, who's a brother, down. That takes the life out of you. We're already down, but going at halftime and tell the football team, hey, he's going to be fine. He's got full movement, and try to reel him in. That's hard, and I don't care, where you're at. But I thought they were able to do that. I thought they came out the second half. Our defense came out, got a stop, got the ball back to our offense. I thought, hey, we're going to get back in this thing. Never felt at once that we ever quit. I thought they fought. We got to play better, and especially in that span of where they scored 21 quick points in a matter of a minute.
You've been coaching a long time. You brought up that situation with Ron Trez Morgan towards the end of the half. That was, of course, in succession of 2 straight turnovers on special teams. And, yes, all of the attention went to Ron Trez to make sure he was okay. Have you ever been a part of a moment like that as I know not necessarily as a head coach. I know Ron Trez went down back against North Dakota State in 2018, kind of similar. But in terms of where you've had that long of a time just waiting to make sure that one of your team members are okay, have you had an experience like that on any other staff that you've been a part of throughout the years?
I have, and it's scary. Your heart stops, and the first thing you want to do is make sure that he's okay, and that he's going to be okay. And our staff is just remarkable. I cannot say enough about Dr. McDonald and Dr. Smerick and Kellen Norris and Stephen Galvin on how they handled that situation. And here's a young man that wants to get up, wants to turn over, and they're doing everything in the right way and to make sure, because that's what a young man wants to, but to keep him under control, not move, it was a great job. But seeing that, it just takes your heart stops, and all you can do is just pray and our prayers were answered. He's going to be fine, and he's sore obviously, but I know Ron Trez, he'll be back. If there's a will, there's a way.
I know you communicate with your team, and Coach Miles and I up in the booth, I feel like we've been through so many games, and for him, he's been through so many battles as a head coach. You feel like you've seen it all, but towards the end of that half, man, I just don't know. I know for sure as heck I haven't been a part of kind of an inning of a half like it was in Springfield. Both Coach Miles and I were kind of looking at each other like we were just in this thing,
yeah, right.
Just a moment ago, and still feel you can get back into it. It was never like this is over.
Sure.
Knew that you guys could come back. But it's just like, whoa, that was just a gut punch unlike any other. And I can only imagine how you guys felt as a staff and also the team and the job that is to try to get your guys back.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. We got a chance to, we're on the 33, 34-yard line, and we're probably right at the range of where Allen is, where he can kick it. It's fourth and manageable, 4th and 1.5. Really felt we had the right play called. Came up short, and then now it's up to our defense. And, we got JJ on their best wide receiver, or one of their best wide receivers, and great throw, good catch, and now we're down 10-0. And so, okay, that's fine. Kick the ball off, and son of a gun, JJ, who's he's been a warrior for us all year, and he put the ball on the ground, and I got all the confidence, get back out there and let's go, and then we kick off again and we fumble it again, and this time by Rontrez on the other side. And then next thing you know, it's 24-0 before you can even blink. And but probably the most thing that really went on. You talk about those 21 points. Well, then you have a young man down for 20 minutes. On top of that, it's down 24-0, and you're not even thinking about the score. You're thinking about, please Lord, get up, be fine, and then to come back and regroup. And I thought the team stayed together. I thought we kept playing hard, and that's not easy when something more important than football is going on when you have a young man down.
In the second half, you mentioned you started off the second half well. You were able to force them, I think, to go 3 and out to start. Really had some good defensive answers. Ultimately, I know the score got to 37-7, but knowing everything your team went through in that final half and those final 3 minutes, factoring in Rontrez's injury, how did you feel your team did ultimately respond in the second half? I know you didn't complete the comeback, and that's the ultimate goal.
Well, the big plays hurt us. That's what it came down to. We got them in the red zone. We did well. We held them out of the end zone. We held them to field goals, and that's what you want. But you can't give up. The guy, the quarter Shelley, he threw the ball 11 times for 200 and some yards, and those are 3 big plays. And got good coverage, you got good wideouts, good execution on their part. We didn't make a play, and they did. And we had a young man who is really playing outstanding for us right now, Ethan Hoover, and he got tripped up, and it looked like broken coverage. He just fell and got twisted up, and of course they hit a 59-yarder on us. But it just seemed like everything started to landslide, and that's what we've got to continue to come together, and that's football. When things aren't going that way, we got to withstand the onslaught and be able to fight back, and we just weren't able to do that on Saturday.
I don't want to say there's total similarities because I felt totally different about the two, but what can you draw upon the South Dakota second quarter where you kind of had a special teams miscue kind of lead to a little bit of an outburst for them? To the Missouri State one, understand I think there are 2 major differences in them both, but both sort of similar, and kind of where those were competitive games, you were right in it, and then just that little landslide, one thing kind of snowballed and it kind of got big.
I'm more encouraged than I am discouraged. I'll say that. I've seen things not go our way in the Northwestern game. We fight back. I've seen things not go our way in the Eastern Kentucky game, and we fought back. And we led the whole thing. And then I've seen us in the Western Illinois. We the first play of the Western Illinois game, we get a sack, and hey, we stuck together, and we answered, and I've seen it as much as I've seen it not go that way, and I know what this team's about. I know they'll bounce back, and I know it'll start tomorrow.
Well, for those that don't know, I understand your concern within your season too. You brought up the win at Eastern Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky hasn't lost since that game and just beat Central Arkansas on the road over the weekend. And right now they're unbeaten in the ASUN/WAC, the AQ7 this year. So it speaks volumes of the teams you were able to beat as well and how good they are to those wins and how good this league is. But, Coach, before we get to Youngstown State, to kind of put a capper on Missouri State, Dante Hendricks came back, and, man, did he come back with a vengeance. 10 receptions, 121 yards, and a touchdown. No surprise to any of us that those are the numbers that he had. It was just like, man, that's why we've missed you, Dante, in terms of on-field production, but we haven't missed him because he's been on every road trip and he's been a part of the team the whole way through.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, I really wasn't surprised in his performance. That's what I expect from him every game. He's in my opinion, the best, if not one of the best wide receivers in our conference. You're going to have to know where he's at. And, the thing about him is that, when the injury did occur, he never hung his head. He knew what the plan was. The plan was in place. and he put his head down, and he was in every meeting, every practice, right in the middle of everything, bringing energy, doing everything he could to help this football team. And there's a reason why he came back and played at a high level, because of how he kept himself involved in the game.
One other guy I thought that stood out defensively. It may not necessarily show up huge in the stat sheet, but I thought Rylan Cole made some really good plays for you in the second half. Rylan, of course, being a freshman this year in the program, but I think he's somebody that is showing you got some really talented, even whether they're true freshmen, COVID freshmen. These are guys where I think the future of your program looks very bright, and I thought Rylan, specifically the one open field tackle he made and then a sack there in the second half, those are really the two plays that really stood out to me.
He gets the ball down. He's a really good tackler. He's a good athlete. I've known Rylan. I've known his father. I played high school football with his father. I've heard a lot about him growing up from his father, Marcus. Marcus and I are very close. But Rylan's a very good football player. He's going to have a bright future.
We'll take a break here on the show. When we come back, we'll be joined by Desmond Morgan, and we'll recap everything with Coach Mallory and preview Youngstown State at the end. This is the Indiana State Coaches Show on 105.5 The Legend. Welcome back to the virtual Indiana State Coaches Show this week. Again, we are not at 7th and Elm here tonight due to the Sycamore Basketball Showcase in ISU Arena. So if you're wanting to drive by to come by next week when we'll be back in person, which means you won't be able to get to see this guy in person. Desmond Morgan will get his segment here knocked out this week. Linebacker coach for Indiana State in his first football season here with the Sycamores. Coach Morgan, thanks so much for taking the time. Always good to catch up with you. I know last weekend, man, that was really a tough ending in the first half for you guys as a group that really made a game that was competitive, back and forth, not seem that way. And I'm sure just as a coach, it's probably what eats at you the most is when you were the ones that kind of really shot yourselves in the foot on Saturday.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, you watched the beginning of that game and the way the guys were competing and the way we came out the first 30 plays of the game. I think we were handling business, defensively. And then, again, a couple big plays kind of changed the momentum of that game on special teams. And then, again, kind of over the top on defense there. Some stuff we got to get cleaned up. But the guys kept fighting, and they kept going as we went through it, and I know they'll respond.
Coach Mallory, I thought, brought up, and it's a really good point. You're of course frustrated in the moment of when you have those two special teams turnovers back to back, but your attention totally flips on making sure that Ron Trez is okay. You had the same vantage point that I did. We were right next to each other virtually, basically, in the press box. What's that moment like for a coach, even though it's not necessarily a guy you coach every day in your position group in Ron Trez, but where you have the vantage point like I do, where all you can do is sit up top and just hope that he's okay?
No question. I mean, anytime anything like that happens and you see someone go down on the turf, I think your heart instantly drops into your stomach and you get a little bit of a pit, kind of, hoping for the best, but not really sure entirely what happened. And luckily in his case, he was okay. And, everything was fine after that. But no question, it's a scary sight anytime that happens because obviously, football's a physical game and, it can be violent at times. And unfortunately, when injuries happen, nobody wants those types of things to take place. But, we're glad that Ron Trez is okay and we're glad that he was able to bounce back up and he's back with us right now. So that's good.
From a coaching perspective, how difficult are moments like that, not just in terms of making sure the guy and the player is okay, but also knowing in that situation, right after that situation was taking place, you had to retake the field.
No question.
What do you do during that standpoint of balancing, all right, we got to make sure that Ron Trez is okay and make sure the guys are okay, but knowing whenever this is over, we also got to be ready to go from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, and it is tough. That's a challenge, right? Because, when you see one of your teammates go down as a player, you have the same thoughts as a coach. You hope he's okay, and you get concerned because that's, you look out there, it's one of your brothers. It's one that, you've been with for a long time and you put in all the offseason work with and you grow close and you develop that bond. And to see somebody go down like that, it is a scary thing. But, the guys having the ability to see that, kind of seeing he was okay as he got taken off the field there. And then, again, it's a challenge, but you have to be able to refocus and collect back in to go out and play the next snap. And in a sense, obviously, you're never going to completely put it out of your mind because you're worried about them. But at the same time, you got to continue on and you got to move forward. So,
Desmond Morgan is our guest, linebacker coach for Indiana State. This is the Indiana State Coaches Show, which is brought to you by our friends at 7th and Elm Bar and Grill at the corner of Food and Fun. You look at your position group this year, Coach Morgan, you've had a mixture of guys who have been here for a long time and have played, like a Matt Thompson. He's Stephen Uno, hasn't played. He's had the junior college experience. Kelvin Broome, of course, another. But you've really had a true freshman, or I shouldn't say a true freshman, a COVID freshman in Jeffrey Brown really emerge this year. What has Jeffrey done to really earn the amount of play reps that he's getting right now? We see it on a game day, but from what you see every day in terms of week of practice and preparation, what's impressed you most about what Jeffrey's done?
Yeah, I think one of the things that is an extremely strong asset to his game and the way he prepares and the way he approaches preparation. I think he really takes pride in understanding what we're doing. Not only how we're doing it, but also what the offense is trying to do each week, week in and week out, schematically to try and attack it. So I think he does a great job with his preparation, which I think translates onto the field, the ability to play fast and diagnose plays fast. And you see that in his play speed. When we get runs or when we get sort of, concepts that we talk about throughout the week in practice, you see him out there triggering, you see him out there diagnosing it quickly. And I think that's led to him to be able to play out on the field a little bit more than, you would have expected from a true freshman and be able to play a lot faster.
And Jeffrey was honest when we caught up with him a couple weeks ago on the pregame show. I asked him, hey, what's the differences between you last fall to this fall? And he kind of looked at me in typically Jeffrey Brown fashion and just goes, oh, Luke, I wouldn't have been playing last fall. Why was, for somebody like Jeffrey, and you see other guys too, whether it's Jonathan Edwards on the back end of the defense that would have been true freshmen a year ago, but how those guys use the time, even though it wasn't they wanted to play at that time, but used the fall last year, used the spring of a typical year to get them prepared. Where they may still have freshmen next to their name, but in reality, they're still older than that.
No doubt. It was an interesting situation because normally you come in as a true freshman, you get a fall camp, and then you're right on the season right away, and you're a little bit shell-shocked trying to catch up with the way college football works and how quickly it moves and things like that. And these guys had the opportunity to get a year under their belt through fall ball, through spring ball, and then go into their first fall camp after they had an entire year with the team. They had been in the program, they had been in the weight room, they had gone through, they understood the defense. So that really put them at an advantage in terms of being able to develop faster and put them in a situation to play earlier than what normally a freshman would be able to. But you mentioned a guy like Jeffrey Brown took advantage of that. Another guy is Jaron Johnson, who started to work his way in as well, has done a tremendous job and taken advantage of that as well. And you can tell that in terms of the way you look at a freshman normally and their understanding of the defense and the concepts and things like that, they're much further ahead than what you would expect.
I feel like at times, and heading into the year, I know Kelvin Broome Jr. was going to be a big piece of your linebacker core, and I don't know if the right way to phrase this is the way I'm going to phrase it, but I think Kelvin deserves a lot of credit for having to fight through a lot of personal stuff to start out the year, of course, being with his dad, being in the hospital there kind of in the middle of fall camp. He did a really good job, I think, of letting his teammates not know that a lot of that stuff was going on. But in recent weeks, have you kind of seen Kelvin maybe a little bit more involved, and maybe not involved, but he kind of told us that I was a little bit more relieved, that I know my dad's no longer in pain. And I'm sure for you, somebody that coaches him every day, maybe you're able to see him with a little bit more pep in his step in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a very tough and challenging situation. As someone that lost a parent at a young age as well, to watch him go through that, obviously it broke my heart. I don't think any kid should have to go through that. But he did have a lot on his mind, and I know it definitely weighed on him. But the thing that's so impressive about Calvin in terms of just the young man he is, one of the hardest things for him to do was to step away from the guys on this team and take time away. And obviously, he needed to do that to be with his family and everything along those lines. But you want to talk about a guy that's a team first guy and then cares so much about this program and the success of this program. And that's Kelvin Broome through and through.
There's so much expectation at the position with this group, and I don't want to rehash all those questions and all those answers that you've given me over the last couple of months and the last year you've been here, Desmond. But with this group specifically and the rest of the year, what's your biggest demand of them? Where do you want to see this group continue to grow, regardless of who you throw out there?
Yeah, just to continue to challenge them to improve and to take the steps we need to move in the right direction to kind of become the linebackers in this defense that we need to become. I think we've made steps as we've gone through the season. I still think we have quite a ways to go to improve on the things we need to improve on. But the biggest thing is just being able to approach every day, day in and day out, with a consistency, with a mentality, with an urgency in everything we do. And again, developing into those leaders of the defense that we need. And some of those are coming from younger guys, some of those are coming from older guys. But across the room, like you said earlier, the expectations for the position, and we need to continue to improve and excel as we move forward for years to come.
Coach Morgan, we'll get you out of here on this note. Coach Mallory has said, I'm more encouraged than discouraged. We're getting better. For you, from your seat, where do you see that as well, that this group, this team, your position group, you guys are getting better, even though the score necessarily over the weekend may not reflect that?
Yeah, I think there has been strides made each week. And, obviously each team presents new challenges, and they try to attack you in different ways. But I think from an overall standpoint of improving our understanding of what we do defensively, I think has definitely excelled and improved throughout the year. And then in terms of how we approach day-to-day operations and practice, and the mentality that we have to take each week when we go out and get ready to face a new opponent, I think that's continually built as we've gone through this season. And the bottom line is that the guys have stuck together. Through thick and thin, good and bad, you can tell that this team is resilient. You can tell that this team is bonded deeply together, what they've gone through and through COVID and everything like that. But, it's a team that definitely has a lot of fight in them, so it's been good to see.
Well, not only does the team have a lot of fight, you guys as a coaching staff have a lot of fight, Desmond, and it's been great to see you guys continue to come back each and every day and work just as hard as these guys, and that's why I know Saturday will be a really fun day against Youngstown State. Thanks so much for the time, Desmond.
No question. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate the time.
Once again, that was Desmond Morgan, linebacker coach for Indiana State. When we come back, we'll have more here on the Indiana State Coaches Show on 105.5 The Legend. Welcome back to the Indiana State Coaches Show, which is sponsored by and brought to you by 7th and Elm Bar and Grill. We can't wait to get back to 7th and Elm next Monday night for the Indiana State Coaches Show, as tonight we are actually in progress of an event going on in ISU Arena. It's the Sycamore Basketball Showcase. Basketball right around the corner, which means Josh Schertz, head coach of Indiana State basketball, and Chad Killinger, the head coach of Indiana State women's basketball, will soon be on the Indiana State Coaches Show from a regular basis. Well, we've caught up with each of them as practice has been going on. And first we begin with Josh Schertz, as this conversation took place after the team's first fall scrimmage heading into this year.
Overall, what were the biggest takeaways that you got from today?
I think we had a lot of guys, only 12 guys, so numbers are down. So it's hard to go 40 minutes, but they did. I thought we were pretty good the first 15, 16 minutes. But then I thought, as we got fatigued, it got sloppier. Too many turnovers, transition D, the things that tend to go when you get tired. So it shows me we got some work to do from a conditioning standpoint. Obviously not going to play 40 minutes with only 6 guys generally, but we got to get in a little better shape between now and Rose-Hulman and Green Bay here next month.
So since the first day of practice to now, have you liked that your team's grown? Where are some areas that you're still really trying to work on right now?
Yeah, I think we've grown in certain areas. I mean, I think there's times where we look like we're organized offensively, where we're playing with some purpose and some detail. And then I think, an area for us, and I think most teams would say this right now, is consistency, right? Being able to sustain it and do your job and do it consistently and compete and execute over a 40-minute window. And, we just haven't shown that. Whether it's the scoreboard, a team getting up and relaxing, and then the team coming back, or whatever the case may be. In general in basketball, the team that competes and executes the best over a 40-minute window wins. So we have to get better at sustaining it, at being more consistent, and you do that out here. You don't get to a game and all of a sudden sustain it and get consistent. You got to show that out here. You got to develop that out here. That's the area probably to me of biggest growth, because I think we show we can be. The areas that I'd say we're weak in, we just do them in spurts. But spurts aren't going to be enough to beat really good teams. Those lines are going to be high. You've got to control the things you can control. You can't beat yourself. You've got to eliminate mistakes, and then try to go out and, again, do your job on a consistent basis, possession by possession, over a 40-minute window. And we've got a long way to go to get there. And, again, part of that is, fatigue. Part of that is we just got to get tougher mentally and more committed to doing the winning things over a longer period of time.
What are ways when maybe you got to get a little bit tougher mentally? I know obviously playing a 40-minute game when you're down some guys, that will sharpen that, but what are other ways you try to challenge your guys throughout the week to get them tougher in those regards?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you hope you recruit that. You hope you got some guys that are tough mentally. I think, putting in and doing some drills where you challenge them, where you put them at disadvantage, trying to go in and show them through film, breakdowns. I think, pointing it out every time you can, and holding guys accountable to that and making sure, because ultimately, if you don't have that, you don't have a chance to have a very high ceiling as a team, right? I mean, every really good team that I've been a part of, they all have different makeups in terms of how you play or, who your best players are or whatever. Always were elite in their preparation, the work ethic, mentally and physically tough, and really connected. Like, those are the three things that I think have every single championship team that I've been a part of had those things in droves. I mean, they came in every day, worked with a really good purpose and attention to detail, tried to get better every single day. Everybody was dialed into improvement. I think they had great mental and physical toughness to go out and play and compete and play against really good teams. Things aren't always going to go your way. You're going to have to be physically tough, but then again, that mental toughness to kind of persevere and overcome difficult situations and stay connected through adversity. And then a group that really has that camaraderie and connection, because basketball is the ultimate team sport, right? On both ends of the floor, you got 5 guys out there. Good offense is about, being connected. Good defense about being 5 guys on a string, and then having a bench that really is together and connected. So that's what we're striving to get to. We have a long way to go to become that. I think we have good guys. I think we have guys that care. I think we have guys that want to be good. So that part is fine. Like, we have good players. I think we got high character guys. Now it's just developing other pieces. I got to do a better job of finding ways to make sure that we're drilling that and getting guys better and building those things inside of what we're doing in practice.
In essence, you still have time, of course, before the season starts, but also in terms of the urgency with your guys, you almost got to reinstate. There almost isn't a whole lot of time before you do get this thing going. You've been here in the summer. It feels like, it's coming. Well, it is coming. You're less than a month away from going.
Yeah, there should be a great sense of urgency. I think, the most overrated thing we talk about is, will to win. Like, everybody's got that. The really good teams prepare well, and the really good players prepare well. And, from their personal habits, their practice habits, they're elite in both. That's really the path to being the best player you can be, is what are your personal habits? What are you doing when you're away from the gym, away from the arena, away from the facility? And then what do you do when you're on the practice floor, right? And so, but there should be a sense of urgency. I'll tell them in the huddle today, I mean, we have a scrimmage in 2 weeks from today, outside competition. I think we're about 25 days or so away from Rose-Hulman, somewhere in that area, maybe 24, 25, and then, 30 days from Wisconsin, Green Bay. And what we do between now and then, that's going to dictate kind of how those results are, how we prepare, how we work, how much progress we make as a team, how much better and cleaner we get offensively, how much more sound we get defensively. As I told them, part of it is, the leadership in this team has got to step up and kind of take the bull by the horns. The areas that we're struggling in are areas that I've been hitting. Obviously, as a coach, it's my job to call them out on and make sure they understand. But it's their job to process it and apply it and make sure we're doing the things to correct the problems that we're, showcasing. And we're just not there yet. Again, don't think it's because they don't care. Don't think we don't have good guys. But it just hasn't. And maybe it takes another really good team, which we're going to play in 2 weeks, exposing that and them going, oh, man, really? It really is an issue. Hopefully not. Hopefully they just believe me and we correct it before we get there. And before you get exposed. What do they say? Some people learn, you just tell them. They learn by you telling them what to do. Some people learn through experience, and some people never learn, right? So hopefully we're a group that just learns by what I tell them. Other people and teams need to experience things before they really learn their lessons. And some people, no matter what happens, never learn. So I don't think it's the third. Let's hope it's not the second. Let's hope we just kind of are able to apply it, internalize it. And you gotta be really good at the things you can control. And in basketball, I think the key is to winning is to eliminate losing. So you have to, shot making, all the stuff that fans look at, as long as taking good ones, okay. They're going to go in, they're not, depending on the night. Offense is fickle. You have a lot of things in basketball, though. Taking care of the ball, discipline with your shot selection, transition D, making sure you're checking out, not fouling. All those things are things you can control. And be sound at, and we have to just be more committed to being sound. Again, do those things in spurts. but now you got to do them, and you got to do them over and over and over again, because the best teams and the best players do their job, and they do their job way more often than other teams or other players. That's why they're the best.
Chad Killinger really excited about what is upcoming for his team this year, taking over this program, a program that has so much proud tradition here in Terre Haute. Here was our conversation with Chad Killinger following the first practice of the year for the Indiana State women's basketball new head coach.
Coach Killinger, the excitement I know just of a season getting going. What emotions come to you today when I know things in college basketball has changed so much, and how many practices you do get over the course of the summer, but when you finally wake up and you're in season mode now.
Yeah, no, it's just great feeling. It's a lot different. You have that time over the summer. We used it June to really focus on the returners, and then July added the newcomers to that mix, and so it was nice to kind of subtly bring them all together. And then having those preseason team workouts, the individual skill workouts, but the tone's still a little bit different with those. So for now to have the whole team in there all the time, it's just really exciting getting a chance to work with them. They work really hard. I'm just really proud of the effort they put in to get us to this point. So now it's time for us to take that next step in our development as a team and a program.
What's been the best part learning about your team and the cohesiveness that they have and just the personalities that your group has?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the record from last year, I think you can really throw that out the window, just from a standpoint of how hard these kids have worked, how willing they are to learn, that they want to be better, they're hungry to win, and so they've really embraced what we've done to this point, and so couldn't really ask much more from them in terms of that commitment that they've made. But just little things we've got to do, and I told them at the end of the workout today, I'm like, it's not a lot of 2 hour 15-minute practices we've been through to this point, so we got to fight through that fatigue a little bit at the end as we're still getting into shape, and then also just little things of drill work, remembering what the drill work is so that we can move a little bit quicker and keep our pace and tempo where we need it for practice.
I know another key aspect of that too was, Coach, you told them, look, there's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, but you're not going to see a change in how we coach you and how we really conduct our business and what we want to do. And I know that's really important, as you're going through a long haul. It's a marathon.
Yeah, and it's I told them, we're going to have over 100 practices. We're going to play 30 games. It's just I hate to use the word grind, but that's what it is. At some point you're going to get fatigued. Mentally, you have to fight through that. You have to be able to change some things up and maybe the way you prepare. But we're not going to change what we do every day. I mean, we show up. The things that we've done as a staff in the past and that we're bringing together now have been successful. And so, if we lose a couple games in a row, we're not going to hit the panic button. If we win a couple games in a row, we're not going to get too high. But I just feel like, we're an underdog. You got to take that and kind of relish being in that role and understand that maybe other people's expectations aren't that high. But for us, our expectations are high, and that starts with just what we expect on a daily basis. And so I think we just take it game by game, day by day, practice by practice, possession by possession, all those things you want to throw out there, then I think we'll be fine.
How key is that, though, when you're at a program like Indiana State where it's almost natural to be the underdog and have that blue-collar work ethic? Well,
not too long ago, they were winning conference championships, and, I really appreciate the tradition and the history of the program, and I think that's been lost a little bit. So we're trying to bring that back so our young women understand that they are a part of something that's been special, and that doesn't mean you're not going to be blue collar. You can win championships and be blue collar. That's what my career has been about. Just working and working and working, and I don't know anything different. And so I'm not going to change my approach based on whether we're winning or losing. And I think we're just trying to instill that same work ethic into them, knowing that there can be success on the back end of it.
What can be the biggest strengths of your team this year and what you're really working on here early to try to showcase those strengths in practice?
Well, I think, we have some athleticism and some speed just getting up and down the floor. I think, we want our pace to be pretty quick, but not out of control. We want to make sure that we take care of the ball. And defensively, we want to do some things that create turnovers. So, I feel like if we can create some turnovers to get up and down the floor a little bit, kind of control the tempo, that will be very beneficial to us. We got some kids that do a really good job of rebounding, but that's an area of concern a little bit right now, to be honest. But I think if we can create some space and get some open shots, I think we've got some kids that can make shots as well.
In terms of leadership from players who have been here and also players who are just coming in, What's your challenge in that regard to kind of maybe find a few voices, but also maybe find that unified voice where everyone feels that they're part of the same thing?
Yeah. Well, I think with when it comes to leadership, it's something that's really surprised me, I would say, because again, coming off of last year and the results, you would think there wouldn't be much, but actually, I think there's a collective that really wants to be good. But I think Summer Pitzer's a kid that really stands out. Hattie Westerfeld, she stands out just as far as really communicating, trying to keep the girls involved. On the court, off the court, the team spends time together. First week of classes, they got together and had a team meal, and it wasn't directed by the coaches or anything like that. So they want that camaraderie, they want that unity, and so another one that Natalia Lalich has done a good job of using her voice to kind of keep things together, trying to, and really positive things, so it's exciting to see that level of positivity within our group as a whole.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Indiana State Coaches Show. Putting a close here on the Coaches Show here on 105.5 The Legend tonight. Again, we're not in person, but we'll be back in person next week due to the little pep rally in the Sycamore Basketball Showcase tonight in ISU Arena is why we're doing it this way. Coach, Youngstown State Coach Phillips, I know is a guy that you've known a long time. What's really, kind of his personality? Because he's taken over our program. The last time we saw him, Coach Pelini was still roaming the sidelines here in Terre Haute back in 2019.
Well, they're going to be a tough physical. That's Youngstown. That's always been their MO. They're going to be physical. They're going to be tough. For as long as I can ever remember. As far as back Coach Narduzzi to Coach Tressel, I can go on and on. But they're always a blue-collar, tough physical group, and it's no different with Coach Phillips's group.
What have you seen from them this year where they've shown a lot of explosiveness, specifically in their running game 2 weeks ago, beating Missouri State? Of course, they were up 35-7 on Western Illinois before the Leathernecks came back to win that one 38-35. I know they had a tough outing on the road in the Unidome, but everybody knows how difficult of a place that is to play. How have you kind of taken the information you've garnered? And they played a really good Michigan State team, by the way, too, in their non-conference schedule. But what have you kind of taken away from kind of, I don't want to say mixed bag of results, but what have you taken away from their results this year of what kind of team they have?
Well, start with the offensive side. They've got a lot of weapons. Got a lot of really explosive guys at the running back position. Quarterback can throw it. He can run it. Their tight ends are impressive. They'll use them a lot of different ways. They'll use them as a true tight. They have three that they'll use, but they'll all use them in a lot of different situations. Their wideouts will block you. I really noticed that earlier when I watched Western Illinois, and you know what I thought about Western Illinois secondary, especially their safeties, and boy, did they block those guys. And I saw that back a couple weeks ago when I watched that game and how physical they were in blocking. But they're talented. Defensively, impressed with them. They fly around. I've always liked their safeties. They've got a great one, number one, who I think is a phenomenal player. I've watched him for seems like forever. But they got a lot of guys they play in the secondary. They fly around. They do a great job.
Homecoming week. It's always a very fun week for everybody, especially after a year where we didn't have it a year ago at the last time being hosting Western Illinois in 2019 on homecoming. What's really your message to the guys throughout the week? I know homecoming is great, but it can also bring a lot of distractions as well as you gear up for the game on Saturday.
Well, it's about our preparation. Obviously it's great to have a lot of alumni and former players come back, but that's where they're going to be in a few years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. But it's important for us as a program to represent this program the way the alumni would want to see us represent. And they have expectations as well as we have high expectations of where this program is and where it's going. And we certainly want to go out and get a win for not only this football program but Indiana State.
Finally, Coach, just keys to the game on Saturday as you continue to work through preparation this week. I know they really don't change week by week, but what are going to be the biggest keys you feel like for your team on Saturday to beat Youngstown State? I'm sure one of them, not that I want to give you one, not that you need advice from me, but I'm sure just taking care of the football because normally in the games this year, you guys have taken care of the football. It's been no question you guys have been coming out on the right side.
Well, I think the main thing is how we prepare. You know, the score didn't show it last week, but I can tell you this team's getting better. And, you know, I know that. The team knows that, and that's what's most important, is that we're staying together, and we're going to prepare just like we've prepared all year long. Nothing's going to change. You know, we're going to get back to work, and we're going to get ready for a very good opponent on Saturday.
Coach, appreciate the time as always. Look forward to being back at our usual spot next Monday. Appreciate the schedule kind of getting worked around for us to still have a coach's show here tonight, but appreciate it and look forward to getting out and seeing you guys practice this week and have a great homecoming week against Youngstown State.
Great. Thanks, Luke.
Once again, that was head coach Curt Mallory, and that does it for the Indiana State Coaches Show from 7th and Elm Bar and Grill. We will be back again in person next week. Big thank you to Desmond Morgan as well and everybody else who joined us here on the Coaches Show. For the head coach, Curt Mallory, I am Luke Martin saying so long. We will talk to you this weekend from Memorial Stadium for Indiana State and Youngstown State. This has been the Indiana State Coaches Show on 105.5 The Legend.